In the previous session, what we completed? Come on. So we understood that types of methods, we understood. There are three types of methods are there: instance methods, class level methods, static methods. And I said the examples of how to communicate with the database, all those stuff we completed. So here, when you look at that class syntax for class, this concept, if you look at class name, class level data members, instance method, class level method, static method, and then we are entering into today this type of concept. Okay, so that concept is index also I will open, students. Index also I will open once. In this place, we are having concept of another one. What is it? Constructors in hooks. After that, anyhow, you know the object of it. I will show you the concept of object here. Constructors in hoops we will discuss. Very easy, not a difficult. Don't take much time. So we'll do some more examples on the object once you understand this concept. Okay. So here we are going to understood. Number one, what is the purpose of constructor? Why we use constructors in a class? And what is the types of constructors? What are the types of constructors? Default constructor, parameterized constructor, rules for using constructors, and followed by examples. We are still inside the class only. Let us go to the oops. So go to the PyCharm once. So there I will take it. Go to this place, close the project. Go to 7am oops example. So there I will close this entire things. Here I'm going to right. Let us move to the non-constructor example. Non-constructor example.py. Non-constructor example.py. That means without constructor. So here I'm going to write it class employee. Class employee. There I'm going to write it just class employee. Pass. What is the pass? Pass is pass. Pass is keyword. What is pass, students? Pass is a keyword which instructs the Python compiler and PVM not to consider indentation block. Don't know that? Don't know? Don't know, no? You know you don't know. You are walking, jumping like that in the chair. Lost. Your place, na? Here, na? Is your place. You're sitting in the chair like this, you are saying. Like something entered into the body like that. Hmm? Springs are there in the body or what? Then what is the use of pass? Hmm? Pass explained or not explained? Should explained or not explained? Then why are you not answering? Tell me, students, why are you not answering? Are you following what I am explaining? Not following? Following, no? What is the pass? Keyword which instructs the Python compiler and PVM not to consider indentation block. One more definition also is said. Pass is a keyword which instructs the PVM and Python compiler don't execute indentation block. One more definition is what? Pass is a keyword which instructs the PVM and Python compiler just to bypass the indentation block. One more definition is what? Pass is a keyword which instructs the PVM and Python compiler. Just ignore the indentation block. Three definitions I said, but you are not saying anything. Hmm? Following or not following? Are you following my classes? Then why are you not answering? Then coming to the point of it, online students need to answer students. EO is equal to employee. What is this line is called? What is this line is called? Why are you creating object? Why are you creating object? To store the data. To store the data. Good. To store the data. Good. Now I'm going to say this object is created. What is the content of EO now? What is the content? What is the content present inside of EO? Empty. How do you know that? Printer, content of EO is equal to EO dot underscore dict. Underscore is called which variable? Magic variable or dunder variable. Dunder, D-U-N, dunder, dunder variable, D-U-N, D-U stands for double underline. This is one underline, this is one underline. Dunder variable, magic variable. ఏమీ లేదు అందులో, nothing is there. Any variable having double underscore first and double underscore ending, it is known as magic variable or dunder variable we can call. Any method also having like that, that is also called what? Dunder method or magic method. Because in the beginning only we said na, any variable which can starts with a double underscore also valid, underscore also valid. So not a big deal. It's a very simple. Okay, run this code. Now it is going to contain what? Empty. Okay. Is there any use of empty? Come on. Is there any use of empty? No. Then what I need? What I need? Some content to place or not? To place the content, what you are doing? To place the content, what are you doing? You are writing EO.ENO is equal to 100. EO.ename is equal to long. And EO.sal is equal to what? 4.5. And you are printing this data or not? You are printing this data. You see that before it is empty, after that it is going to be non-empty or not? How I am doing non-empty? We are placing the instance data member in the object through object itself. Yes or no? Yes. That means we are setting the instance data member inside the object through object. How? Where we did that example, if you look at that, types of data members, instance data members can be specified in three places. Through what? An object. Through what again? Instance method. This is one way. This is one way of writing. We got the data. Non-empty data, we got it. Non-empty data, we got it. This is the one. So first empty, later non-empty. At this stage, you have to understand, beginning it is what? Empty. Later we are placing the data in the object. I don't want this two steps procedure. What is the two steps procedure? The moment when an object is created, I want to place my data immediately. But here what is happening? First object empty created. Later we are placing the data explicitly. We don't want this. What we want? Whenever an object is created, I want to place my data. Whenever I'm creating an object, I want to place my data. That is what I'm explaining. Whenever an object is created, I want to place my data. Is called what? Object initialization we can call. Spell out. Object initialization. Whenever I join BTech, I want to initialize with my subject completely. Then I want to get the job. After completing BTech, brain is empty. After that, special coaching is taken. Not like that. The moment when BTech is completed, data must be initialized fully. So here, first empty, later we are placing the data. We don't want to do that. We want to do what? Whenever an object is created, I want to place my own data without leaving the object empty. That is known as what? Object initialization. That type of concept performed by the concept of what? Constructors. Whenever I open an account in the bank, your balance is initialized with what? 500 rupees minimum. Are you following me? The moment when I create an object, I want to place my own data inside the object without leaving the object empty. That is known as what? Object initialization. Who will do object initialization? Constructors. Online students, are you following? This is called what? Placing the data in the form of what? Data members through what? In the object. This I don't want now. What I'm going to do now? Another way is what? Do what? EO dot read EMP vals. Read EMP vals. What is this now? Calling instance method explicitly. Here, here, this object is empty. Explicitly, you are writing certain statements. Then the object is non-empty. Explicitly, you are writing certain statements. We don't want that certain statements to be written here. What I'm expecting, whenever an object is created, I want to place my own values without leaving the object empty. Are you getting my point? So what is this now? For that, in another way, what are you doing? EO dot, what is that? Read EMP vals is my function name. What are you doing now? You are going to this place and say pass remove. What is that? D you are writing. Self you are writing. Hmm. Self dot ENO is equal to what? 100. Self dot what again? E name is equal to ROM. And next you are writing self dot sal is equal to what? 5.6. Are you following? Then how it is happening? Object created, empty created, later method is calling and it is going to the EMP class, looking for the method name and then executing this type of data. Now print this data now. I'm getting what? Empty. Later we are placing the data. Are you able to follow now? Simple. So this is also called what? Like earlier procedure only. My interest is what? My interest is what? Whenever I create an object, I want to place my own data. Whenever I create an object, I want to place my own data without a object through an object writing. Through a method name also, I don't want to go for. Actually, methods are meant for performing what? Operations. But constructors are meant for performing what? Initialization. What do you mean by initialization? Placing the data in the object whenever it is created without leaving the object empty. After that, who will come into picture? Methods will come into picture. According to Woop's principles, whenever an object is created, data must be placed without leaving the object empty. Who will do that? Constructors will do. After keeping the data in the object, who will come to perform? Methods will come to perform the operation. Whenever I open an account, your balance initialized with some amount of rupees. Later, what will come? Deposit, withdraw, balance inquiry. Those things will come into picture. Correct or not? So inside the class, what things are present? Methods will present, constructors will present, data members will present. Why data members are used? To store the data. Why constructors are used? To initialize the data members. Why methods are used? To perform the operation. That's all. So inside the class, what are you taking? Data storage parts you are taking, initializers you are taking, operational parts you are going to take it. Understand that? That is only the class. So online students, now this is called non-constructor example through a method. So here, suppose if I don't call this method, suppose if I don't call this method, what will happen? Empty, empty only printed. That means to place my own data inside the object, I have to call the method explicitly. But what I am expecting, whenever an object is created, automatically something to be called inside of the object. What we want to place? Our own data want to place without leaving the object empty. That is known as what? Object initialization. Who will do object initialization? Who will do object operations? Good. So inside the object, what type of data members will be stored? Inside the object, what type of data members will be stored? Instance variables, instance data members. So who will initialize the object instance data members? Constructors. Who will do the operations on instance data members of object? Methods. They following me? Simple. Online students. Now I'm going to enter into the same example. Look into that. I'm going to take it constructor example 1.py. Actually, it is a very easiest topic. Easiest topic. Look at that. Now I'm going to write it. What is my concept here? Carry as it is. Here I am writing. Observe it. Follow me. Here I don't define anything. I don't define anything. Say pass. Here I don't write anything. See students, once again I'm running. What is the content? Empty. So I don't want to leave the object empty. Earlier what I faced it, I created an empty. Later I called the method explicitly. Then only my content was placed. But I don't want that. What I'm expecting, whenever an object is created, whenever an object is created, I want to place my own data. So in the Python programming, which concept will come? Constructors will come. In Java also constructors is there. Concept of constructors everywhere else is same. It is used for making the object to initialize. In Python, for the constructors is concerned, there is a syntax. What is that? Instructor is also one method. Constructor is also one special method. How do you start the definition of the function? DEF. And you will write what name? Function name. But here we will have a fixed name. But fixed name is underscore underscore init underscore of self. You will write. Later you will write some parameters also. Right now, don't worry about the parameters. Right now, don't worry about the parameters. So here we are going to write it. Block of statements. So block of statements performs what? Initialization. Block of statements performs what? Initialization. Online students, are you following me? So def underscore init underscore of self list of formal parameters. Block of statements performs what? Initialization. Initialization. Are you able to understand this now? Go to this place. In this place, we are entering into the programming. Here we are going to write it. What we are writing? DEF underscore init underscore of self. Right now, I'm not going to write any self. I'm writing parameters. I'm not writing. First, you look at I am from constructor. I am from constructor. I am from constructor. I am from constructor. So here student name Bhuvaneshwari. Bhuvaneshwari. She is there in the class. Bhuvaneshwari, are you there, mom? Bhuvaneshwari N. Bhuvaneshwari N. Are you there, mom? Are you following me? Bhuvaneshwari, are you following? In the chat window, you try to respond once, mom. Bhuvaneshwari. Are you there? Respond, ma, in the chat window. Are you there, mom? Bhuvaneshwari. Right. So now I am going to enter into the, I am from what? Constructor. So Bhuvaneshwari is maybe not understanding, I hope so, because first time I'm seeing the thumb symbol down. So I don't know what is our problem. Thumb symbol down, because that's why I called her, because I want to make her to understand the subject. Online students, are you following me? Well, first time thumb symbol is showing down. Bhuvaneshwari is showing thumb symbol down. So I just want to uh, make sure that I want to make her to understand if she is interacting with me. Okay. So, okay, all thumb symbol up because Bhuvaneshwari I want to see. Bhuvaneshwari I want to see. Bhuvaneshwari is saying thumb symbol down only. So still she is not understanding, I think so. So Bhuvaneshwari is still thumb symbol down only. Right? May I know, ma? Are you, is the symbol not available? Is the symbol is you are not understanding? Okay, ma, Bhuvaneshwari. So may I know that? What is the reason for showing the thumb symbol down? Okay. Anyhow, I want to follow. So sometimes I'll get a doubt. What the doubt is whether you will follow my class or not. For example, Bhuvaneshwari. Everybody is showing the thumb symbol up because I have confidence by myself that that's why I'm in 20 years, 28 years of education. Because if anybody is showing the thumb symbol down, because I feel that they are not understanding, I want to make them to understand. So, are you following my lecture? Hmm? So, if you go to this, if of course I'm taking Bhuvaneshwari, what I'm taking, if this is my teaching capacities, uh, so 8, 9, this is my, okay, leave it. And she leave it like this. The 0 to 9, for example, if anybody asks, what is my grading of the lecture? KVR sir explanation and teaching, subject coverage, and what is the grading you are giving, and no mokamatams here, with an internal marks not there, the open debate. What is your grading for me? Actually, I should not ask this. Being a 28 years of experienced faculty, I don't want to ask you, but I'm asking because of the Bhuvaneshwari. Come on. No, sitting in front of me, not like that. Open. So online students. So just one survey. Just one survey. What is your points? Huh? 8, 8, 4, 0, right? Hmm? So my dear students. So of course 8, 8.5, solid 9. Okay, my dear student. Okay, mom. Okay, thank you. Because why I asked this, all of a sudden I got a doubt about because of Bhuvaneshwari, she is not there. So is there? She is there. Bhuvaneshwari is there. So maybe she is from maybe IIT, maybe IIM, something like that. That's why I'm going to be. So right, Ma Shravan Kumar, thank you. So now I want to make her to understand, but she is not showing some symbol up. So I request you, Ma, please. Okay. So 5-star rating. Okay, thank you, my dear students. Bhuvaneshwari, still, Ma, I'm asking you if anything is there. I will explain once again. Please let me know. Okay, Bhuvaneshwari. So shall I continue now? So, right. I will continue. Are you following my subject? So, are you following my subject, Ma Bhuvaneshwari? Right. Why symbol down? Thumb symbol down? Just I'm asking. Just I'm asking. Bhuvaneshwari. Right. Fine. Hmm. Nagalakshmi. Till now, there is no match for you, sir. A technical student who know English should be able to understand your class if they follow your class honestly. Okay, Ma. Thank you, Nagalakshmi. Raghavi. So you are extraordinary. We can't judge your teaching, sir. Okay, Ma. Thank you. Because I want to make my teaching to understand everybody. That is my dream. That's my dream. Okay. So if somebody says thumb symbol down, I also will feel that I want to explain once again. That is my point. Okay, anyhow, because there is no rule that everybody will follow. Maybe they are very, maybe Rosam level because we are the student level. Maybe Bhuvaneshwar, maybe Rosam level. I think so. Come to the point of it. So, okay, ma'am. Arshad Muhammad. I think she is facing connection issue. Maybe, I don't know. Because if subject problem is there, I want to explain again. No problem. Come on. Now I will go to DEF underscore underscore init of self. Now, okay, Kumar Rajesh. Thumb symbol cannot down your teaching, sir. Okay, Kumar Rajesh. Thank you. So DEF underscore underscore init. Now print I am constructor. Nagaraju, I am non-IT student, sir. I am understanding perfectly, sir. Okay, Nagaraju, thank you. So I am from constructor. Start. Just we got this time to discuss that. This is called what here? Object creation. Earlier is what? Now the flow disturbed it. Employee object is created. EO.read EMP values. It went to this place and explicitly I am calling and it is executing and placing. If I don't call this method, what will happen? Still empty will be there. Now I'm going to come to constructor example here. Constructor example here. What is the name of the constructor? Constructor is also one special method only, whose name is always what? DEF underscore underscore init underscore underscore of self, etc. Block of statements performs what? Initialization. Performs initialization. Are you able to follow now? My dear students, let me move to the further. Let me move to the further. Here I am going to take up. In this case, when I come, the constructor I wrote it here. The moment when object is created, the moment is object is created, PVM calls constructor automatically. Constructor calls automatically or implicitly. I'm going to take up automatically or it is calling implicitly. The moment when object is created, the PVM will first it will create the memory space EO. Immediately it will go to the class looking for this method name. It is available or not, and it is calling what? Constructor it is calling. First you keep comment for this and just observe now. What is the answer now? It is line is called what? Object creation. Immediately PVM calls what? Constructor. First understand that point. What is an answer? I am from constructor. That means what? Whenever an object is created, what happens internally? Memory space will be created for an object. Immediately calls a special method. What is the special method? Constructor. What is its name? DEF underscore underscore init underscore underscore of self. And this is the body. Now I am going to write it. Inside of that, what you want to place in the object? I want to place self dot ENO is equal to 100. Self dot E name is equal to something like rosum. Self dot marks is equal to 44.44. 44 point dot I will write it. So similarly, what is happening here? Same. Whenever you call like that, whenever you are calling like that, do you know what is happening? EO will be placed in where? Self. EO will be placed in self. Self dot ENO, self dot name, self dot marks. They are placing in where only? EO. So EO is getting printed. Are you following me now? Let us execute. Automatically, what is placing here? This object is initialized. Look at that. Earlier, what was printed? Empty. Now, is it printing my data or not? So, what did you understand with this concept? Whenever an object is created, PVM calls implicitly what? A constructor. That constructor is getting executed. Is it placing my own data inside this object without leaving object empty or not? That is the meaning of what? Constructor. So constructors are for what purpose? Methods are for what purpose? You need to understand. Methods are for which purpose? Operation purpose. Constructors are what purpose? Object initialization. Right. This is one example. Let me go to the next example. This is one object created EO1. I'm saying one more time you say EO2. Once again, I will run it. This is the data we are getting it. Once again, another object I'm creating. Once again, another object I'm creating. EO2 I am creating. Again, what will happen? Same. Go to this place, call this constructor, EO2.dict. Execute this now. Getting the same data or not? So if I create a 20 objects, how many times constructor is calling? 20 times, because they are all called object based. One more example you take it. Second example I'm going to take up. I'm going to take like this. Here I'm going to take up 2.py, 2.py. I'm going to take it. There I'm going to write it. Here I'm going to take. In this place, look at this carefully. Constructor example 2.py. Remove this entire thing. There I'm going to write it. My interest is what? I want to place it. The data called what? 10 comma rs. 10 comma rs. This is called what I want to place? 20 comma tr. tr. What is this now? Special employee data I'm passing. Especially I'm passing my employee data. Especially I'm passing other employee data. This is known as what? Object creation. Passing the data today. Earlier one, what we did, we are just creating an employee without passing the data. Here I am writing same to same, coming to this place, def underscore underscore init underscore underscore of what? Self. So EO1 is placing in where? Self. 10 is going to be placed in some parameter I will take over there, comma. What is this now? ENO, comma. What is this now? E-name. See how simple it is. EO address is put it into self. 10 is put it into this ENO. E-name is going to place it there. Are you following me? There I will write it. Print of I am from constructor. I am from constructor. So here I am writing self dot ENO is equal to ENO. This ENO, formal parameter ENO. Self dot ename. Self dot ename. Any name. Ename is equal to ename. You can take X and Y also here. Self-related things are belongs to this object. Tell me now. It is going to print EO1.dict, EO2.dict. What is this line is called? Object creation. Object creation calls what? Constructor. It will go to the class looking for the constructor. EO1 address pass to self, 10 is pass to ENO, RS is pass to ename, that I am getting printed here. Next, one more object created. That time what is happening? EO2 kept in self, 20 keep it in ENO, 30 keep TR keep it into ename. That is getting initialized with this data. Into this example, what is happening? I'm from constructor, ENO values. I'm from constructor, ENO values. How many objects are initialized here? Two objects with same data or different data? Hmm? Different data or same data? Different data. Earlier you see it is initialized with which data? Same data. Same data. Remove that with the same data. Initialized with the same data. And moreover, this is the constructor taking only self. This type of constructor is known as what? Default constructor. Now come to the point. Default constructor. Are you able to follow? Why default constructor? It takes only self. No more parameters are taking. I am from which constructor? Default constructor. I am from default constructor. What is this line? By seeing this object creation happily, you can decide which type of constructor is internally calling. Which type of constructor? Default constructor. So I'm writing here PVM calls which constructor? Default constructor. PVM calls a default constructor automatically. By seeing this, you can decide. Come to this place. This is along with the self. It is taking parameters. It is known as what? Parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor we can call. So I can write it parameterized. Why it is parameterized? Along with the self, it is taking extra formal parameters. It is known as what? By seeing this EO1 is equal to employee of 1020, it is known as which constructor? Parameterized constructor only. So PVM calls which constructor? Parameterized constructor. I think you are following me. So coming to the point of it, parameterized constructor called. Finally, I'm going to conclude it. Parameterized constructor is used to initialize the object with what values? Different values. So run this example and see different values or same values on different values. When I go to this constructor default, whenever I want to initialize multiple objects of same class with what same values, I'll go for what the time. What happens? So go to this place and execute this now and got these values. Is it the same values or not? So what is this constructor is called? Default constructor. In this case, when I look into this, if I write only like this, which constructor? Default. If I write the same thing with what constructor again? Parameterized. How I will write it? Along with that, I will write what? List of formal params. This is called what? PC. Parameterized constructor. This is known as what here? Default constructor. Did you understand the meaning of constructor? Why we go? It's a very small concept actually. This we will write inside the class only. So go to the next example. Another example I will go for it. What will be the rules of the constructor? Did you understand the meaning of constructors? Why we go for constructors in the class of oops? To initialize the object. If I don't initialize the object, what will be happening? Empty. Later to fill the empty object, we have to call the function method explicitly. It will be the difficult process, double process it is. That's why we go for the object construct initialization by the constructor itself. So what will be the rules here? What are the rules here? First rule is what? The name of the constructor. Name of the constructor is def underscore underscore init underscore init self comma what? Some parameters may be there, may not be there. And this is the one. Second one, constructors will call hmm, constructors will call automatically when automatically during which creation? Object creation. What is the difference between method and constructor? Constructors will call automatically during object creation. Methods need to call explicitly. Methods need to call explicitly. Go to this place here. I'm writing something like void display. Void display, for example. So there I'm writing, sorry, Java related syntax. DEF display. DEF display. There I'm writing display function. Display function. See, this is not at all calling. We are going to get what? Default constructor only calling. During what creation? Object creation. But display is nowhere else coming. Why display is not coming? Because we are not calling. What is the difference between constructor and method? Method need to call explicitly. Constructor will call implicitly. During what time? Object creation time. That's all. And next, further, if I want to go for it, method will return the value, right? Method will return the value by using a return statement. But when we come to the constructor, if I try to write a return of 100, it will give error. Constructor job is what? To initialize the object, to dump the values. But what we are saying here, return 100. Constructor's job is to initialize the object, but not to perform the operation on the object. When it is initializing, it should not return any value. You will get error. Constructor returns only none, but not int. If at all you are interested, you can write what? None you can return. Why none? Because no value to be written. You can write none, but you should not write the value called what? 100. For example, you see, error is going to come. What is happening? Init should return what? But not int. One more value of what? 4, 5. Error. You see that error should return none, but not what? Load. You write what here? Say something like KVR. You write here something like what, should not return what? STR. So I can write it what here? Simply I am writing none. So try to execute it. So I'm getting the output. But writing none, is there any special taste? No. Writing written none is nothing but as good as what? Not to write anything. Understood this point? So I will go to what here? Constructor. Third point is constructor can't return any value. Can't return any value. Can't return a value. It can return only. It can return. Hmm. It can return what value? None only. It can return none only. Returning none is nothing but nothing to write inside, right? So fourth one and fifth one important. Of course, all are important only. Now I'm going to write it. So constructor will call automatically during object creation, whose role is to initialize the object. Object initialization done by what? Constructor. Fourth point I'm writing. Fourth point. What is the fourth point I'm writing? Especially in Python, constructors inherited. Constructors participates in inheritance process. Those who are from Java, inheritance process. Those who are from Java, constructors will not participate in inheritance. But in Python, that's why I wrote a word called what? In Python, constructors participates in which process? Inheritance process. But in Java, constructors never participates in inheritance process. In Python, constructors can be overridden. Constructors can be overridden. These points I will explain in the further. Overridden. So here in the index, if you look at, here you are having inheritance, after that method overriding as well as what? Constructor overriding. Especially in Python, constructors can be overridden. In Java, this is not possible. Whatever is getting inherited, you can override. But their constructors will not be inherited, cannot be overridden. In where? Java. The people who are from Java background, if anybody is there, constructors participates in inheritance in Python. Constructors can be overridden. These are the 4 and 5 properties. Once again, I will show in where? In the inheritance, I will show you. Because I am writing all the properties of constructors at the same time. Are you able to follow now? How many types of constructors are there? Two types. One is default constructor, parameterized constructor. Why do you use default constructor? To initialize multiple objects of same class with the same values. Why do you use parameterized constructor? To initialize the multiple objects of same class with different values. For that purpose, I will go for what? Constructor. One more example, I will go for it. One more example. So I'm going to write it. Default constructor, of course, dot py. Default constructor example dot py. So there I'm going to write it. Program for initializing multiple objects of same class, with the same values. Which constructor I will use? Default constructor. Test. I'm writing test def underscore init underscore of self. I'm writing I am from default constructor print of. Now I'm writing self dot a is equal to 1, self dot b is equal to 2. I want to print there itself \t value of a is equal to comma self dot a. Next is called print of \t value of what? B is equal to comma self dot b. I'm just writing it. This is my constructor defined. Which constructor it is? Default constructor, of course. That you understood. How do you know it is a default constructor? It doesn't take any parameters after self. Then come to main program now. Come to main program. Anything you want to do in Python, first what should define? Class. Next I need to go for what? Object. Create an object now. T1 is equal to what? Test of. By seeing this object line, you can itself decide which constructor will call. Which constructor? How do you know that it is a default constructor? Test of not taking any parameter. So it is known as what creation? Object creation makes the PVM to call which constructor? Default constructor. Are you calling the constructor or automatically calling? Automatically calling. During what creation? Anybody ask you tomorrow what is the definition of constructor? What is your answer? A constructor is one of the special method. Special. Why? It is always on that name only, which is automatically or implicitly called by PVM during what creation? Object creation. And whose role is to initialize the object without leaving the object empty. That is a speciality of the constructor here. So see the value printed 1, 2. For which object? T1. Next I will go for one more. T2 is equal to what again? Test of. Test of. T3 is equal to what is this now? Test of. What is this again always? Object creation calls the constructor. Object creation calls the constructor. Now I'm going to write it something like this. Try to run this code. Here I'm writing. We are getting. I am from default constructor. I am from default constructor. Same values will be coming or not? 1, 2, 1, 2 values are coming. All of them contain same values now. Which constructor it is? Default constructor. Online students following? Is it clear, students? Everybody need to respond. So I will go to the next concept here. Next example, parameterized constructor, I want to go for it. Let me go to the next one. Parameterized constructor. So here I am going to write it. Parameterized. So parameterized constructor dot py. Parameterized constructor dot py. There I am writing it. Program for, here you have written what? Program for parameterized constructor. Program for initializing multiple objects of same class with what values? Different values. Different values I'm going to take up. What I'm going to take? Class called test. Now I am going to go for it. DEF underscore underscore. For example, you leave like this. Suppose I am writing. Suppose you are coming to the main program. Think carefully, seriously think. T1 is equal to, I want to initialize the T1 with the values called 1020. What is this line is called? Come on, simple. Object creation. Definitely you have to define the constructor now. Calls what? Calls what constructor? Parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor. What parameterized? 2 na, 3 na, 4 na? 2 parameterized. So I need to define definitely constructor or not. See, execute it. You will get error. You will get error. Takes no argument. Nothing is there. Now I need to define. Come on, define. DEF. DEF. Spell out students. Underscore underscore of what you will write it? Of what you will write it? Self comma x comma y. You can take it x comma y. So you can define. I am from, earlier it is available. I will get it. I am from which constructor? Parameterized constructor. I am from parameterized constructor. Here I am writing parameterized constructor. There I will write it. Self dot a is equal to x. Self dot b is equal to y. And print the value of ab here. Print the value of ab here. I'm printing the value of ab. Are you following me? Simple. Execute it. I am from parameterized constructor, value of ab is 1020. Next, I'm going to write it. T2 is equal to test of 100 comma 200. Same. What is happening? Object creation calls which constructor? Parameters constructor. Different values. Same multiple objects of same class. T1, T2, multiple objects of test class with which values? Different values. Same. Again, I got 100 and 200. Now I want to go for one more time, one more object I want to create. T3 is equal to I'm taking, T3 is equal to I'm taking 1000 I'm writing here, 1000. Here I'm writing 2000. Execute it. I'm getting what here? 100 to 10, 20, 100, 200, 1000, 2000. What it is known as? What it is known as? Parameterized constructor. Initializes the multiple objects of same class with what values? Different values. I will go for what? Parameterized. Same values if you want to initialize, I'll go for what? Default constructor. So how many constructors are available? So how do you know that it is a default constructor which takes which parameter? Self. How do you know that it is a parameterized constructor? Along with self, you will write what? Formal parameter. It is known as what? This is one way to recognize. By seeing this object creation itself, you can decide is the default or parameterized. Is it a default or parameterized? By seeing this, you can decide is the default or parameterized. Default. Are you following me? Now, just to take our data frame once, pandas you take it, evening class you are attending, df is equal to, suppose pd dot data frame of, assume that data frame is a class. Data frame is a class. There you are going to write it what? Something like object you are writing. Something you are writing. T1 comma index is equal to something you are writing. Index is equal to something you are writing. Next you are writing columns is equal to something you are writing. What is this is concept is known as which constructor? Parameterized constructor. The parameterized constructor. Something like that. Because everything is written in oops. You have to understand. We are passing the data here. Are you following me? Now, what is this constructor here? Parameters. What is this constructor here? So separately I wrote it. In one program I wrote a default constructor. In one program I wrote parameterized constructor. Now I'm combining both of them. Be careful. Online students, I hope you are comfortable. Come to the next one called what? Default, default, parameterized, parameterized constructor, parameterized constructor. Now I'm going to take up dot py, dot py. Both of them I'm trying to write it. Important. So writing here, class test, class test I'm writing. Here I'm writing main program. Main program I'm going to write it. What I'm writing, T1 is equal to test of. Tell me what is this constructor will call default. Default now? Okay. Default I will write it. Writing default is compulsory or optional? Optional. When it is optional, what is the content of T1? What is the content of T1? Empty. Empty. Default constructor is optional to define. Suppose, for example, when I say 1020, it is a parameter as a constructor. Mandatory to define. It is an error is coming. So, suppose if this is like that, if this is like this, what should I do? Define the constructor. Define. How do you define? Df underscore underscore init underscore self comma x comma y. There I am writing. Here I am writing print of. I am from parameter as a constructor. This values I am printing. This values I am printing. This values I am printing. Following me? So in this case, see the answer now, which is getting printed called what? 1020. Next, my task is very simple thing. Next, I'm going to create T2 is equal to T2 is equal to test of. What is happening? T2 is equal to test of. What is the content of T2? Come on. Which constructor will call? Empty default constructor. Then this is going to which class? Test class. Looking for which constructor? default. But what you have defined, is it matching for this? No. If you are not writing completely, no problem. But you already started defining what? Parameterized constructor. It is trying to match with this. It is asking error. It is an error. See that error. It is an error here. Are you getting me? Completely if I don't define, no problem. But which one is giving a problem? Parameterized. It is giving a parameterized problem. So that time I need to remove what? Parameterized I am removing. Parameterized I am removing. That time if I say no problem, it is no problem, it is executed. But what is the content of T1? Empty. Empty. Are you following? But my interest is what today? T2 is equal to which constructor it is? So definitely need to define or not. So define. Try to understand. Def underscore init of what? Self comma x comma y. Now I will print this data. Which constructor it is? Parameterized constructor. That time the second statement matching with this, no problem, done. What about the first one? Is it necessary to define or not necessary to define? Actually, not necessary. But it is already defined what? Parameterized. So it is giving error. It is trying to match with this constructor. It goes to the class called test. Already you defined a constructor, but trying to match with that constructor because it is taking formal parameter. This is not passing any arguments. It is an error. So giving an error, type error. This is a type error. Then how do you cope up? First of all, did you understand? The point of time is directly, it is not possible to define both the constructors in the same class. If I write parameterized giving an error for a default, if I write a default, if I am using parameterized, I am getting an error for parameterized. So to avoid that, what you might say to me, sir, take the same thing. You might say like this. What is that? Sir, define like that. It is going to take like that. It is saying what here? Default constructor. Say one here, say two here. Then tell me what is happening. This is a constructor. It will come to this place. This is a constructor. Already we did. It will remember the latest syntax, latest constructor only. That time who is getting a problem? Which line gets a problem? Come on. Which line? 20th line will give you a problem. 20th line will give you a problem. So I'm going to execute it. See the error now. First one we got an error, but second one we got an error. So go to the place. It is going to be an error here. Then how do you avoid this problem then? Already written now. Already written. For this it is written. For this it is written. This concept I already explained in the functions only. Display. Which display will take? Latest display only will take because PVM is doing interpretation process. So this program will not execute. Then how do you make it to execute? The conclusion is inside the same class, it is not possible to define both a default and parameters. To solve this issue, we have to apply our intelligence. What is the default constructor purpose? To place 1, 2. What is the purpose of parameters constructor? To place 10, 20. If you apply your intelligence, you can do it. What is this one? Remove that. I am doing with my subject x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 2. I am writing. Finished. What is happening here? Going to this default constructor, going to this place. Exactly it is doing what? Calling this only. What is happening? T1 is going to be containing in where? Self. Self dot A is equal to X. What is the value placed? Default values these are. Default value need not to pass. Self dot B is equal to what? Y. So T1 is containing what values? X and Y. What are those values? 1 and 2. That is what we want for default constructor. For parameters constructor, what I need? T2 is going to self, X value 10 is going to this X, Y value going to this Y. Is it satisfied for parameterized constructor also? So this is satisfying the need of what? Default as well as what? Parameterized constructor. Like how I got the output earlier, now I completely got it. Default constructor I got it, parameterized constructor I got it. Perfect. What is the earlier? Default constructor. Execute 1 2 1 2 1 2. What is the next one here? Parameterized constructor. 10 20 100 like that. This is also satisfied here. Next here, both of them I am writing. T1 is equal to tester like this. Execute. Got it. If you want, you write once again. Remove this. Remove this. T3 is equal to what? Test off. Write it. 1 2 1 2 1 2 will be coming. It is looking like a default constructor. You pass it. You pass it. 10 20. You pass it. 100 comma 200. You pass it. What is this now? 1000 comma what? 2000. Execute it. Execute it. It is working like a parameterized constructor. That's why the rule is in a class of Python, we should not write both the default and parameters constructor because the same constructor name is there. PVM is doing interpretation process. It will consider which statement, latest constructor only. To avoid this problem, we will go for what? Which constructor? Default plus parameterized with the concept of what? Default argument concept, we will use it so that we can fix that issue. Even Ardhamainda, did you understand here? So next T4 is equal to test of only single value I am passing. What is the value I am passing? 10 I am passing. 10. I am passing only 10. This 10 will go to where? X. Y is containing still what? That is not what a single parameter also I am passing. Execute it. So Shravan Kumar, 10 is going to where? X. T3, T4 will go to where? Self. Y will contain as it is as 2 only. So go to that place. Here I got it 10 only. Are you following me? Now suppose 10 I want to send it to Y. How I will write it? Y is equal to 10. Which concept term? Keyword argument. Keyword argument. Passing the message passing, this is known as. Keyword argument concept. Going to Y. X remains 1 only. Beautiful. B is going to be 10. Earlier X, B, A was 10. Now T5 is equal to T5 is equal to test of 30 comma 40. 40 want to send to X, 30 want to send to Y. How do I write it? It is what I am writing. Come on. X is equal to, and this is called what? Y is equal to. Y is equal to. Beautiful. What concept here? Keyword arguments. Execute it. Beautiful. Got it. Here, same values, default constructor, parameterized constructor, keyword argument concept, keyword argument concept. So here it is going to be something like this. Are you able to follow now? Very, very simple concept here. I think you are understanding. Both the default and parameterized constructor concept can be done in the same place. With which concept we did? Default argument concept, which is already explained in the class. So this concept is satisfying both the default constructor as well as what? Parameterized concept. Are you following? So in Python programming, there is no concept of overloading. So Manas Ranjan Patra, function overloading concept is not there. This concept I said already in the beginning of my lectures only. So when you go to 7 a.m., when you go to functions concept, because if you read well and come to the class, this is not a problem. So here you go to the variable arguments concept, I will show you. Variable length argument concept you see. There I said, this program will not execute, I said. Chadukondi jagrataga. This is a program. This program will not execute because PVM remembers latest function definition only. Moreover, PVM is performing which process? Interpretation process. This already I was explained in the earlier only. Okay. This concept I was sorted out by using what? Star parameter I took it. Are you following me? So this is the constructor concept we are solving like this. So in a class of Python, how many constructors you can define? Only one constructor. That too, it can satisfy both of them with our intelligence called what? Default arguments concept. Now I want to show you the concept of what is what is this constructors is. Now I want to show you the concept of constructors here. Look at that. Come on, read out all of you. Start. Concept now. Notes. The purpose of constructors in Python is that to initialize the object. Initializing the object is nothing but placing our own data in object without leaving object empty. So constructors is for which purpose? Initializing the object. Methods are for which purpose? To perform the operation on the object. Initialization first, operation first. Good, good. Definition of constructor. A constructor is one of the special method which is automatically or implicitly called by PVM during object creation and whose purpose is to initialize the object without leaving the object empty. Understood the definition? Don't read. You have to understand. Are you understanding? Yes. Syntax for defining the constructor. DEF underscore init underscore of self comma list of formal params if any block of statements performs what? Initialization. Rules or properties of constructor. The name of the constructor is always like this. Constructors will be called by PVM automatically or implicitly during object creation. Constructors will not return any value except none. In Python, constructors participates in inheritance process that I did not show you. Again, I will explain when I go to inheritance. In Python, constructors can be overridden. Constructors can be overridden. Are you able to follow, students? Right. These 2, 4, and 5 points I will explain in the inheritance concept. Right now, don't worry. Next, I'm going to understand types of constructors. It's a separate notes is made here. In Python programming, we have two types of constructors. They are default parameterless constructor, means no parameters given. One more is right default constructor definition. A default constructor or parameterless constructor is one which never takes any formal parameters except self. That means only self is taken. The purpose of default constructors or parameterless constructor is that to initialize multiple objects of same class with the same values. DEF underscore init underscore of self. Block of statements performs what? Initialization. So here default constructor example, which I shown you already. A value 10, B value 20. I'm creating three objects. All of them are placing which data? Same data. Next parameterized constructor. A parameterized constructor is one which always takes formal parameters after self. The purpose of parameterized constructor is that to initialize multiple objects of same class with a different values. Syntax DEF underscore init underscore of self comma list of formal params block of statements performs initialization process. Here program for class test DEF after self KV printing parameters constructor values. You are passing 10, 20, 100, 200, 1000, 2000. All of them are parameters constructor. Most important point I am giving note in the class of Python, we can't define both default and parameterized constructor because PVM can remember only latest constructor due to its interpretation process. To fulfill the need of both default and parameterized constructors, we define single constructor with a default parameter mechanism. Default parameter means default arguments concept. Already explained now, right? That point I'm taking. demonstrating both the default and parameterized. This is known as what? Default and parameterized constructor. Both of them are depicted in the same constructor only. I think you are following me. So this is about the concept of what? Constructor. So inside the, if you look at the syntax for defining a class, what we are defining? Class name, class level data members, instance data members, class level method, static method, and then what? Constructor. Inside the class contains data members, methods, and constructor. So inside the constructor, what are we mentioning? Instance data member. See once again the concept of types of data members here, types of methods. Once again, I will go to my class. I'll go to this place here in our place, 7 a.m. Oops, you take class concept, you take types of data members, you take it. Tell me programmatically, instance data members can be specified in how many places? One is through object, through instance method, inside of constructor. Inside of the constructor also you are taking. Are you following me? Right. Now tell me this case, as you understood that, what is this T1 is called? Object. Created with which constructor? Default. T2 is called what? Created with which constructor? So object can be created with two ways. One is default constructor you can use to initialize, parameterized constructor to use it. What is the need of object in Python? To store the data. So purpose of object is to store the data. And one more thing is, what is the definition of object? Definition of object is very simple. It is going to be known as a technical word. Instance of a class. Instance of a class is called what? Object. Instance is nothing but allocating the sufficient memory space for an object and making to initialize with the value. Either empty initialization or you want to place your own data na, it depends on you. So instance of a class is known as what here? Object. So what is the use of creating object? You know how to create an object. You know how to create an object. Variable name is equal to class name of. If class name is not there, you are just trying to create it, you'll get which error? Which error? Without class definition, if we create an object, which error you will get? ఎందుకు మీరు waste అసలు. So I'm writing here called what? KVR. Which error will come? Without class definition, I have test class only. I'm trying to create an object without class definition. You'll get which error? Name error. Name error. Name error. See that KVR name error will be coming. It is not found at all because you are not practicing. That is the main problem. Not practicing. When the anything is not found, it is going to be called what? Name error. Any oops level, if you are calling anything's uncertain value, something like T5 dot, T5 dot get, I'm saying, it is going to be called attribute error. Inside the object, no such get is available. No such get is available. Attribute error. But I'm just writing a variable called what? Something like T6 is equal to XYZ. XYZ is nowhere else found. It is called a name error. Name error. So to create an object, class definition is compulsory. Look at the object concept. Look at the object concept here itself. Simple. Go to this place. Now I'm going to take it object here. Just observe it. Come on, read out the object now. When we define a class, memory space is not created for data members and methods, but whose memory space is created when we create an object with respect to class name. Did you understand? When I define a class, no memory space. But when you create an object, memory space will come. The purpose of creating an object is that to store the data. To store the data. To do any data processing, it is mandatory to create an object. To do any data processing, it is mandatory to create an object. To create an object, there must exist a class definition. Otherwise, we get what error? Name error. Understood? Definition. Instance of a class is called object. Instance of a class is called object. Instance is nothing but allocating sufficient memory space for data members and methods of a class. Definition of instance. Instance of a class is called object. Or people will ask you, instance is nothing but allocating memory space for data members and methods. Syntax for creating an object. Variable name is equal to class name of, or variable name is equal to class name of value 1, value 2, value n. What is this is known as object creation with which constructor? Default constructor. What about this one? Object creation with parameterized constructor. Example, create an object of student. SO is equal to student of. Create an object of employee. EO is equal to employee of 10 comma row sum. What is this now? Parameterized. What about this? Default. Differences between class and object for interview point of view. What is class and what is an object? Simple. First one is the definition. Here also definition. A class is a collection of data members and methods. Object. Instance of a class is called object. When we define a class, memory space is not created for data members and methods. But when we define a class, memory space is not created for data members and methods, and it can be treated as specification or model of a real-time application. When we create an object, we get the memory space for data members and methods of a class. Definition of a class exists how many times? Only once. Example, definition of class called test exists how many times? One time. How many times object created? Multiple times created. Multiple times created. With respect to one class definition, we can create multiple objects. When we develop any program with OOPS principles, class definition to be defined first in main memory only once. When we create an object, we can create an object after loading the class definition. Otherwise, we get what? Name error. That means first we have to load the class definition. Later we have to create the object. Otherwise, we get which error? Name error. This is called a significance of object. Understood that? So tell me, in the class from now onwards, what are you defining? Data members, methods, constructor. Why constructor? To initialize the object. Why methods? To perform the operation. That's all. So definition of class also will be clear now. So this is coming to an ending of class definition now. Inside the class, you see, don't tell like our old story, our college definition. What is the class? Class is a collection of objects, they will say. It's a blender, na? How much blender it is? Class is a collection of what? Data members. ఇక్కడ చూడండి. Class contains data members, methods, constructor. That two data members, two types, methods, three types, constructors, two types. This is the significance of a class. Okay now? So this is today's class concept is constructors. Today we understood the concept of what students? Constructors. At the same time, we understood the object also. Beginning onwards, we are creating. Understood? So tomorrow class I'll go for what? Encapsulation and abstraction. I will go for it. Don't miss the class. Online students, I hope today's class is clear. And tomorrow class will go for data encapsulation and abstraction. We will go for it. Don't miss the class tomorrow. Right, students? Carry on. And any students who are having the doubts in the online, you can hold on. I will clarify your doubts. Thank you, students. Carry on. Online students. Well, am I audible, ma? Any doubts you have? Any doubts? I can clarify your doubts if any doubts are available. Raise your hand. I'll clarify. Okay, students, no more hand raising symbols are there. Then I will go forward, uploading these notes, download it, and try to read the notes and practice. Thank you, students. All the best.